microphoning.
Like I noticed it even when I tweeted somebody because they were asking like, what are podcasts that you listen to? Because we're trying to listen to some like different ones, and I was like,
my show.
Yeah. Well, I'm biased because my show obviously is. I think it's good.
Yeah. I mean,
and then I realized it, and I was like, whatever. I can't take it back now unless I delete the tweet.
if you want to get down to the brass tacks, it's your show. I mean, you built the foundation. I'm just like a window or something.
Yeah, but I mean,
house.
you've brought a lot into it, and it's like it just makes it more fun because I feel like when you come in here, like I have energy because I want to like talk about stuff, and you come in here is like a lot better than me just kind of like walking in here and just trying to talk like this into the microphone because the Smudcast likes to make fun of me for my first episode like this.
Yeah, I mean, your first episode was pretty bad, but I think most people's first episode is bad.
Well, and
look at Joe Rogan's very first episode; it's very bad.
And I've said this before. Like I think that, there are people that go about it like the right way, and they like plan a lot, put a lot of effort into.
That's not your style.
I can't sit down and do that. I have to do it. Like, and I learn from doing what I'm like.
I'm the same way.
Getting into. So like, maybe I might suck at first, but eventually I'm going to learn and I'm going to add things to it and make it better.
You learn by doing as opposed to just like writing a bunch of stuff down, and I'm not good that way either.
Yeah. Well, it is post St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I know that you worked yesterday. How did you feel about the people coming in yesterday?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, people were definitely turning up. But it's like one of those things that comes with the territory, so it's not like I wasn't like so surprised. I was like, oh, what are these people are crazy.
It's one of those days like I was talking to you about this prior to like starting the podcast, but it's one of those things where I feel like there are people that go out that normally don't go out, but it's like it's St. Patrick's Day, let's go. Like and it makes it difficult for us seasoned vets, I guess, of the bar scene because you've got like some strange people that normally aren't out, so now they're like in public, and now they're talking to people, and that's not always a good thing.
So are these people they're sober or they're drinking?
I think both. Like there was some people that were like completely out of their mind drunk.
Yeah.
Which that's never a good look for anybody.
I just think the only time that's acceptable is like St. Patty's Day, or if you're like it's my birthday, you better yell that shit a lot though, because that. But like if I see you and it's St. Patty's Day and you're just fucking retarded drunk, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And or your birthday, but every other occasion when you're just crazy, and this goes for me too, because I've been plenty of times where I've just been way too drunk. But you gotta, I mean, there's a couple times you can just like say fuck it.
Yeah. And so I made it a habit. Like for almost 2 years, I ruined a lot of my favorite holidays. Like in 1 year, I actually ruined New Year's for myself, St. Patrick's Day for myself, and I want to say even like my own birthday. Like I ruined because I got too messed up. Like I was like, New Year's Eve, I got too messed up and was like, I'm going home. I'm just calling an Uber, and it was like, I think 11:30, and the ball was about to drop, and I missed that. So then I ruined that, and then the same year I ruined St. Patrick's Day because I stayed up all night the night before St. Patrick's Day, hanging out with buddies, like drinking. It was actually Titus and Creedon, who's been on the podcast before. Stayed up all night with them, then did a podcast in the morning. So basically I stayed up until 3 in the morning, woke up to do a podcast with Robbie, James's brother.
Yeah.
And so we started the podcast at like I think 9 or 10 in the morning. So I woke up and just started drinking beer again. I was done by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I was over it.
Yeah.
And once again, pissed everybody off because I was like, I'm going home. I'll just call an Uber. And we're downtown.
I'm definitely with you. I've ruined a lot of not only birthdays and a lot of things can come to a point with alcohol in my life. I feel like I've lost friendships over alcohol.
Oh shit.
I've lost. I
would say one, the guy that I pissed on his jacket.
I've ruined a lot of a lot of holidays and a lot of just like where I could have had a really good time, but instead I got way too drunk. And a lot of my friends can attest to this. Yeah. But I think I've done pretty well in the past year or so. Mm-hmm. But definitely when I'm like 20 to 25, me and my buddy Mike Kelly used to do this thing where like one of us just we never talked about it, but one of us would just go get we would go out together, and one of us would be the one that got trashed. We would never say who it was going to be. It just happened, and then the other person took care of that, and that worked for a long time.
Not a lot of people can handle that.
That worked a long time, but then like when he kind of went to the army and stuff and all that, and then I was just doing that by myself, and then it was like I was losing my wallet, and there's plenty of times where like he had to go, like he left his phone in someone's car on the street because he got in their car and slept, and then he had to go to their door, and he's like, here's $100, and like gave the person $100, and then they gave him his phone back, and then they just didn't say anything about it. So it's like,
how did they find his phone? Or not how did they find his phone? How did he get a hold of them?
I think he either called it and was like, hey, like,
this is my phone.
Sorry
that I slept in your car.
Yeah, I don't know I think that's what happened, but somebody for sure found his phone, and then he was just like, when he came to get it, he's like, here's $100, and then traded off.
I would not have argued about that.
No, I'd have been like, okay.
What I was getting ready to get into was Judgment Day. We're going in early.
Okay.
So I've got a perfect one from a night that we hung out this week. All right.
It's a little shorter than usual.
I don't want to. I need to actually edit it together and just have just that noise, because we don't need the welcome, ladies.
I wish I had a clip.
Judgment Day.
I wish I had a clip of you saying, "I'm gonna edit that," and there would just be like it'd be like 20 times of you saying it in a clip.
There's gonna be one day we will have fans that like edit things together like that,
or just be like, it'd be like a rap song. Like, I'm gonna edit that. I don't know.
But no, okay. So this came from us hanging out earlier this week. We're trying to make it a point to do stuff other than just the podcast. I don't know if other people need to know that.
We're forcing our friendship upon each other.
But I invited Shane out to do some trivia, which, going into the trivia, I'm usually pretty confident. Like, I feel like I'm pretty smart. I feel like I know some random shit.
Yeah.
And I always feel like I've done pretty well at trivia. Well, the guy that I want to judge this week is Hambone's Trivia. I'm calling him out. His trivia was extremely hard and made me feel stupid.
It was pretty hard.
And I feel like with trivia, you kind of ramp it up, because the beginning is to make me feel better about myself because I know some of the answers. And then you start to get towards the end and it gets harder. That's normally the trivia that I've done.
It went straight into like being hard as fuck.
Yeah,
right off the bat.
exactly. Yeah. And I feel like the reason I'm judging him is, let's change it up a little bit. Let's make it a little bit easier, a little bit more accessible for other people. But maybe that's his business model. Like, fuck these guys. Like, we're here for the hardcore trivia masters.
Maybe he doesn't want a bunch of idiots that they're just there. He wants the true.
But fuck him, because his trivia is too hard.
It was pretty hard.
Yeah.
We got a lot of shit though. I thought we did really, really well. The points didn't
considering
agree. The points didn't agree because we got last place.
Well,
but I think you could tell. Okay, yeah, there was another group that had like 12 people in it.
It was like two tables pushed together. They had like
And then there was another table that was like
16
in
people.
Another room.
Yeah.
And they could have been cheating on their phones for all we know.
I'm fairly certain they were, because they won.
Yeah, because their points were like 298 and ours were like 90.
100. We ended up with 90 because we bet the whole farm on the last three questions.
Yeah, we did not double Jeopardy. There's a final Jeopardy. Pretty much.
The lightning round.
Yeah, so it was a little rough, but some of those questions were just ridiculous. He was like, and they were so long, like. In 1956, the governor, blah, 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 and just, like, it would be, like, a good 12 seconds of him spouting out this question, and then you had to write it down and then go back to the drawing board and think about it, and it was like, I thought we did well, though.
Yeah, and we had 4 people on our team.
Yeah.
Or what, 5? 5.
Yeah,
we had 5 people on our team.
Include yourself.
And Jen did not put a lot of effort into it, because Jen's one of those people that has that mindset of like, I'm not good at this, so then I'm not even gonna try.
On the other end of the spectrum is you, and you're like, I'm so good at this.
Yeah. and there was a couple times that like I was like calling you guys out for not taking my answers, but then I also like realized like clearly I'm not smart enough because I'm not confident about it. Like when I said those answers, like Brad second guessed me, and I was like, Oh, okay. So you're probably like, because I said the Capitals, that there's the
Phoenix.
yeah,
Was the one
Phoenix,
that.
Arizona, and
But I got the other two.
and he told me that Phoenix wasn't the capital of Arizona, and I was like, oh, you're probably right.
Well, he kept saying he was. What is? I swear the capital of California is not Sacramento.
Yeah, I don't.
And he was like,
Like I'm terrible with that. I should know way better than I do.
but anyways, the thing I think I got the other two though. So Austin was one of them, and then
Yep.
Denver.
Yep.
And I know Denver's like up and coming, so a lot of people were trying to move there and stuff. So I kind of assume the population has kind of risen, especially since weed has been.
It's and that is so popular there.
Very, yeah.
But yeah, I'm judging the guy. Trivia was shitty. He made it too hard.
What were some of the other questions? Like, what was that one
The
about?
battle
The
one.
Wimbledon was kind of crazy, but you got that right.
Yeah. Wimbledon was like
The Venus something or other.
Yeah.
Sapphire.
oh yeah,
Or-
the name of the trophy that they get.
I'm
That
like,
the only reason I guessed that, and this is terrible and probably sexist, but like the only thing I could think of that was like super popular for women's sports is tennis.
yeah,
Because it's just like it's popular amongst men and women,
you're not wrong.
and other female sports I'm not a huge fan of, but I
Yeah.
can watch tennis.
I'm huge into the WNBA.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm just kidding.
When they can start windmill dunking, I'll start watching.
Yeah, they can start Vince Carter.
Should they just lower the rim just a foot? Now I'm being a dick. I'm sorry.
I mean, I guess we shouldn't go there, but it'd be a lot cooler. It'd be a lot cooler if they did.
Exactly. But yeah, so what was I getting at right there? Yeah, the Wimbledon thing.
Yeah.
And then the battle one. The only bloody like battle I could think of was Gettysburg, and
Yeah.
I was stuck on that. Did what did it end up being?
It was like Shiloh or something like
Yeah.
that, but it's basically the Jewish name for peace.
Yes.
Was also the name for one of the deadliest battles in the Civil War.
Yeah.
And I said the only two I could think of was Little Bighorn,
Mhm.
and then the Gettysburg.
Yeah.
So we went with Gettysburg like idiots, and
Yeah.
then
I love, like, I want to know what his thought process is when he sees like some of the answer scorecards or whatever. Like, is he just like, fuck?
well, he said some of the funny ones. I think he's probably not surprised by anything at this point because
that's true. He's probably been doing it for a long time.
yeah, because there's probably a lot of ours were just guesses, so we just had to pull something out.
Yeah.
But we did really good with that Chinese or Asian
Oh, yeah,
foods
yeah.
with the soy, and the one that you got that was really good was the.
I thought you were gonna say rice.
Oh, that was funny too. Yeah, that was funny too.
Okay, so for the listeners and the people watching, we got to this this trivia thing. It's all jam packed into a small little place,
Yeah.
and I literally told everybody like I have a really loud voice and I have a hard time controlling my volume.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm probably gonna say an answer, and then other people are gonna get it.
Yeah, I
And-
totally called you out because I was like, first you tell us that you're gonna yell out, like you're like, I'm really bad about yelling, and then like 3 seconds in, he's like, rice! And everyone like looked at us like, what the hell?
But yeah, the premise for these questions were Asian foods that also
Food
like
and drink.
double for like a name of something.
So
And-
like one was like, I can't even tell you the question, but it was like, the answer was like, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
But the answer was sake.
Yeah.
So, and then another one was the hardest college in Texas to get into.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know, rice. And then
And I said it really
and then your
loud.
friend looked at you and was like, yeah, rice. The school in Texas. Yeah,
And then I made eye contact with the team next to us, and the
Dude.
guy was like, and he
Yeah.
started writing it down, and I was like, no, you fucker. But
I didn't really like those people next to
Yeah,
us.
they
They
were-
were super like hoity-toity.
Yeah,
Like,
and they were like trying to like they were being that fake polite,
yeah.
where they're like,
Well, I tried to get he asked for a water, and the guy had just brought me a water,
Mm.
and I guess I wouldn't take a water from another table. But we're right next to each
Yeah.
other. The guy just gave me the water,
Mm.
and he asked for a water. I was like, "You can have mine, man." He's like, "No, thanks." And I was like, "You're a dick."
Well, and then we actually like sat down at that table next to him. I think they were planning on using that table too, and they were like, "Oh, it's okay. We can like combine forces." And I was like, "Well, we're probably gonna play on our own," but and it was like I said, it was one of those like fake like polite because I think they were pissed that we sat there.
Yeah.
But whatever, I didn't care. They were just I'm judging them too for being fake polite. Just be polite or be a dick. One or the other. It's fine with me.
Yeah, they all look like that. They all probably at one point in the day had been at a library. Just saying. That's what that vibe I got from them. You know.
That's fucking perfect. That's exactly right.
I don't know.
And then also, okay, so I judged the trivia guy. I'm going hard on everybody today. I'm gonna judge the server too because like
man,
I'm so I know
I got a problem with.
I understand, but kind of feel me, like listen to me here. He was doing the like, oh, I'm so bad at my job, like trying to be funny.
Yeah, that's definitely a tactic that some servers use. It's not mine. Mine is
a good tactic.
Mine is my tactic when it comes to what he was doing is like, oh man, I'm just super honest. I'm like, yeah, I totally forgot your waters. I'll be right back with him. And just being honest and be like, hey, I forgot. I'll be right back with him. He was like, oh, I'm so bad at my job.
And he was cursing, fuck, man, fuck, or something like that.
Yeah, and he was like, you wanted a beer, didn't you? Oh, I'm so bad at my job. And I was like, this is awkward.
Jesus, don't at least have a different. I don't like that approach. I'm just not a fan of that approach. Some people may think that's funny. I don't think it's funny.
My judgment is for Nicole Rawlings.
Oh yeah,
because she hit the bill was like $51, and she just like hardcore wrote an 8. Like, didn't even give him the 20%. I'm like, he was so busy, babe, and she was like, yeah, but I asked for my or something. I don't know, but it was just funny because I was like, we've both been servers, and you just gave this man $8.
And he also did
which 8 isn't bad. It's still like 15% or whatever.
He did the thing though that you I think you take pride in, which is like, where you ask everybody, do you need anything else? But he did okay, got it, and ran away. And didn't wait for anybody else to say, hey, maybe I would like something as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like he should have you can you're helping yourself because you can be like, hey, does anyone need anything right now? And then if you say it direct and get their attention, then they think about it for a second. And you don't have to make another trip, so you're really helping yourself.
Yeah, and he was making so many trips because he did have. I mean, he had that whole place pretty much to himself that we were at. There was
him and one other girl.
Yeah, there was over 30 people probably in that area.
I kind of felt for him. The only time I will not give you 20% is if it was just awful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So because I can kind of, you don't know what's going on. You don't know, because I was thinking to myself last night, I was picking up a bunch of tables in another guy's section because he was new and he couldn't really hang.
Yeah.
And he had a big table in the other room, which is he's new. He's working on being a better server. Mm-hmm. And I picked up some of his tables because he wasn't able to pick them up, but my other tables didn't know that. So it's what does the server have going on that you just don't realize? So I was taking tables out of my section, spreading myself even more thin.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, my tables don't know this, so they're probably gonna tip me shitty.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, hey guys, I'd kind of tell them, I'd be like, I'm kind of spread thin right now. I picked up a couple extra tables over there, and then they're more understanding and they're.
I think that you take that approach that when I was a server I took, which is just tell them exactly what's going on.
Yeah,
because then people are more likely to.
They can sit there and wonder and come up with their own. Oh, this guy is just being, or come up with their own situation, or I can just tell you. And and then they start to notice me going to all these different tables, and then I'm more likely to get a better table. That's all I know is I'll probably make more money if I just explain to them.
Yeah. So. Because it's one of those things if you're sitting there, you're thinking this guy just sucks, or he's not taking care of us.
Yeah.
So then you start having those assumptions maybe he's just lazy or something instead of if that person comes to you and is hey, this is what I've got going on. So you're going to have to either just accept it or whatever.
You'd be surprised a lot of tables aren't very observant of what's going on. I'm when I go out, I watch the servers and watch everything the tomato guy. But
I never saw him with the tomato once.
It pisses me off because I had the perfect view. So for what I'm talking about is there's I don't know if they have 2 kitchens or they have I don't know, refrigerator in the other room or something.
Yeah.
But this guy kept he actively okay, I watched him walk across this little entryway with three tomatoes.
3 to start with.
Yeah. I was just kind of watching him, and then time went on, 10 minutes or whatever, and then he came back and he had like 6 tomatoes all on his hand. And then the next time he had a whole, like 20 minutes later, he had a whole bucket of tomatoes. And then after that, he had, and then it went from like, okay, he possibly can't have any more than that. That's what I thought to myself at one point. Like, there's no way he can, he could bring another bucket. But then it was like sliced tomatoes that he brought, like that were already cut. And then he brought out diced tomatoes. All in the time that we were there, he walked across with different, and I'm just like, is this the tomato guy? Is he like the
tomato czar?
Yeah, he's like he got hired on. He's like, you all right, you're the tomato guy. That's what I was like thinking in my head while we are playing trivia. But
I still can't believe he was like the guy, like the singing frog, like where anytime I looked, he wasn't doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But, that was pissing me off because I was like, look, and then he'd go behind the door right with you guys. I think your friend caught him one time with actual tomatoes, but that was just one tomato.
Yeah. And then also, so I saw a tweet of
on Twitter.
On Twitter.
Twitter. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I follow this chick that does like bodybuilding or something like that. Like, I don't know. I just followed her a long time ago and still follow her. And she had posted something about like having a job interview at Tilted Kilt, and she was like, well, I don't have any boobs, but hopefully I get the job or something like that. And I legit like will tweet strangers when I see stuff like that I think makes me think or makes me want to
reach out.
Yeah. So I tweeted back. I was like, it's not necessarily all about the boobs. Like, I will always tip 20% because I don't want to be a dick most of the time if it's just basic service. But like when it comes to like places like Hooters and like those kind of places where it's basically it's all women, they're using their assets to make it a more enjoyable experience.
Sure.
It needs to be entertaining and engaging for me to tip over the 20% because most of the time those people just like don't give a fuck. They're just like they really don't try at their job at like most times that I've been.
Yeah.
And I told that girl that I was like, if you go in there and you just like, have a great personality, you're gonna get the job, and B, you're gonna do really well tip wise if you're engaging and entertaining and like friendly, as opposed to somebody that doesn't do that.
Well, like you can tell right off the bat, there's people that just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
And there's people that want to talk. And you can tell because they'll be like, hey, how,
Yeah.
And then you get into it and they're like, you start having a conversation with them. And then there's other people that, and they appreciate you just kind of leaving them alone.
Yeah.
And I like walk up and they'll be like, Pepsi. And they'll just like, I'm like, hey guys, I'm Shane, blah, blah, Pepsi. So like,
okay, nice to meet you.
Those are the people just to leave alone. And they respect that. But like, I think with something I've noticed, even a girl that I'm not going to say her name, but that worked at Tilted Kilt from Greenfield.
Yeah.
She didn't have the biggest, whatever, and she would
the biggest whatever.
She would wear like more than one push-up bra.
Oh yeah,
and it would really push them,
Yeah.
So I guess you could do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm not saying that. I mean, I just think that with that job, that's what you kind of comes with the territory. Like you got to kind of expect to be doing those kind of things and showing off a little stuff if you go into that job.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's. I don't know. There's a lot of times you go to like a bar or something, and there's kind of, people that have their stuff out that really have no business having. You know what I mean? Like if you go to like a bartender and they're just like, geez, like they're like washing their dishes, and it's just like, you need to put on a bra or I don't know, just like it's just a little too much.
The nipples are dipping into the water a little bit.
I mean, golly, I can name a couple places I've been to that are just like that. I'm like, man, you
got it all out there.
Yeah, you're gonna probably make some extra money that way.
So on a news kick, what about the have you been very busy because of the college basketball?
Oh yeah, so the mixture of St. Patty's Day and March Madness has really brought a lot of people in.
Yeah, did you see the 16 seed beating the number 1 seed?
Is it La Jolla?
It was. Let me look real quick. UMBC Retrievers.
I did see it. It says
and they beat the number 1 seed Virginia. First time it's ever happened.
I did see that game, but what I thought was more impressive. Well, that's super impressive, honestly. But
first time ever.
What's the Loyola, Michigan? Loyola. They had two almost not really buzzer beaters, but they had the first one, which was in a buzzer beater, which was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And then yesterday they had one that was like a jump shot with 10 seconds to go.
I remember that.
And then Tennessee had to try to make a buzzer beater, and they weren't able to do it.
Mm-hmm. And Tennessee also screwed a lot of people over too because of losing. The number 16 seed winning over the number 1 seed, Little Caesars is giving away free pizza
They
because
copied off Papa John's game.
Yeah, and so they legit. This is a great marketing ploy because it's never happened in the history of basketball.
Yeah.
But Little Caesars to honor promise to give away free lunches if a 16 seed team beat a number 1 seed. When March Madness started, the franchise announced they'd do a pizza giveaway if a number 16 seed beat a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Well, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, once again, UMBC, pulled it off Friday, defeating the University of Virginia 74-54. They beat them by 20 points. Like, they wiped the floor with them. Like,
that's crazy. When's the? I think is going on right now. Butler and Purdue, or did it already happen? It's today.
That might be today.
I think it's right now.
We might be missing it as we speak.
Yeah, I was like wanting to work this morning, but I had to do this thing.
Got to do this little thing, little show. But they're going to be providing a free $5 lunchbox on Monday, April 2nd, between 11:30 and 1 p.m. No free ads, Little Caesars, but I might stop by and get a free lunch.
There you go. So I do have to go to the bathroom.
No, you're fine.
But I don't know if you want to pause.
Yeah, we can pause it and then we'll come back.
Okay. Sorry, man.
No, you're fine. Just leave the Facebook Live going, and I'll check in with our millions of followers.
All zero.
No, you're fine. Just leave the Facebook Live going, and I'll check in with our millions of followers.
All zero.
I am the only one watching the Facebook Live. Thanks, guys. I hope everybody is enjoying it. St. Patrick's Day was a great day. I'm a little hungover. That's why I have the Bloody Mary right here. But yeah, I feel like anybody else notice that nobody's really using Snapchat anymore? I feel like Snapchat made a mistake changing their game up. And Hannah is also going to join the show again sometime soon. She and I have been messaging back and forth. Oh, shit. Well, for most of the podcast, the audio has been from the Mevo, not the soundboard. No, you're fine. Just leave the Facebook Live going and I'll... That's pretty lame. Well, for most of the podcast, the audio has been from the Mevo, not the soundboard. All right, we got it fixed, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're enjoying the show, the program. I think Shane's taking a poop. It's going to be a good one. I think he's going to come back feeling very relieved. A little bit of technical difficulties. The bathroom is needed. It sounds like it's going to be a pretty rough go in there. Hopefully your everything's coming out all right, Shane. Hope you're doing okay. I was assuming that was the case.
Yeah, I told you when it comes, it comes.
Oh yeah, it's a surprise.
It's the coffee.
Yeah, the MCT oil, right?
No, it's just the coffee. The MCT oil doesn't really do much as a straight coffee.
We're back with the Juice in the Morning podcast.
Sorry, guys, I had to take a huge dump at Juice's house.
And I did say that on the Facebook Live, but
yeah,
I was just guessing. I was assuming.
We have one more follower than we did when I left, so I'm assuming
it might actually be counting me as watching.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yikes.
Yikes.
All right. But yeah, so the Little Caesars giving away the free pizza, the 16 seed beating the number 1 seed. When we're talking about sports, like with like the tournament and everything, another podcast from the Pottern family posted like a question of how do you feel about athletes doing drugs and like drinking alcohol? Like, so what is your preference on that? And I'll give you mine after I get your
preference
take.
on other.
Like, do you care what they do on their own time?
Man, that's kind of weird. I think I feel like two separate ways about it. I feel like if you're on a team, you should really uphold some kind of, I don't know, you're there to like make sure that everybody, you're there for your team and you're responsible for a portion of your team's success.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're out drinking and stuff and for whatever reason you come to practice and you're, not 100%, that's definitely an issue.
Did you see that sorry to interrupt, but did you see they canceled practice the day after Steph Curry's 30th birthday because they were all out partying the night before?
Yeah, that. But they can get away with it because they're that good.
Yeah.
But it's saying like I kind of put it along the lines of John Jones. John Jones can go and do a bunch of coke and do all this stuff and party and then go fight somebody and then be the best. What I think is probably the greatest UFC fighter of all time.
He is. I mean, there's no doubt.
So if you can, it just all depends on if you let it. But do I care that they're out drinking and having fun? No, because everybody else that age is doing the exact same thing, and I think they should have some kind of freedom. I think it's just one of those things where you got to know when to do it.
Yeah, and so another thing that popped up was Odell Beckham Jr. had a 7-second video that somebody posted to the internet. He's clearly holding something. It looks like a blunt. Yeah. He's clearly holding something, and then the camera pans over to a girl who's got a little card, and she's got a white substance on a picture or something like that. And he's it's funny because he's sitting on a hotel bed. There's a pizza on the bed.
He's got that in his hand. He's telling this chick over here that she's got to bang somebody, or like he's like you should just sleep with him. Like that's the words that are said in that short 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And what I think is interesting is, people want to judge him right away, but like for me, and I'm coming from the guy that has a Judgment Day segment on our podcast, I still don't think we should like be so quick to judge him, because if he can pass a drug test for the season, why are we getting mad at him for smoking a blunt and eating a pizza?
Well, it's also ridiculous to think that not a crazy amount of any NFL, MLB are not just going crazy on, and when they're rich.
Yeah.
You got to assume that. I mean, there's a lot of the guys that aren't married and stuff. In their early 20s, what were you doing in your early 20s? And then give you a couple $1 million.
Exactly.
And then they're like,
it's absurd. It's absurd.
To
it really
think
is.
that they're not doing that kind of stuff, and even to care, you know. I mean, if it was like the middle of the season or whatever, I could understand that because you want your team, but it's also not your,
Yeah.
But they do need to be held to a certain standard during the season. But if some 7-second video comes out and he's doing whatever the fuck he wants, then I don't really have a problem with
care.
it. No.
Well, the funny thing is too is it's a contract year for him. So somebody posted and was like, he's one of the best receivers in football, so he's probably not going to be out of a job. Yeah. But this is going to knock a couple million off of his paycheck because of the fact that like they're going to mention that at some point in the negotiations.
Yeah.
And I just think that's interesting. Like that's like just this 7-second video could change you millions of dollars. I mean, and the same thing with like when Tiger Woods lost like almost all of his sponsorships and everything because he cheated on his wife and she tried to hit him with a golf club. Like, I mean, it's insane the amount of, we hold all of these people onto a pedestal of like they're completely different than us, but they're actually just the same exact people. They're extremely athletic.
They lose sponsors because making bad decisions, and them as a company doesn't want to be, associated. I almost said incorporated with someone that makes bad decisions, which is understandable. The company has to look out for their best interests, but also to think that they're not out there doing that stuff is ridiculous.
Right.
But
and like you said, I mean, what were you doing when you were 22 years old or 23 years old? And
then magnify that if you gave me $2 million.
And I've said it before on the podcast, but it's my favorite quote from Chris Carter. Chris Carter was like, whenever you give somebody money, they become whatever they are times 10.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're a shithead and you give a shithead a lot of money, he's going to be a shithead even more.
Yeah.
He just has a lot more money now.
Yeah.
To be able
and
to.
It's easy for someone from an outside perspective, some Joe Schmo sitting on his couch, like, if I had $200 million, I'd do this. No, you wouldn't. I guarantee you wouldn't, unless there's a small group of people. I wouldn't.
Whatever you like doing, you're going to do more of that.
I'd probably spend 100 of that $200 million on some stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like a Bugatti or what. I probably wouldn't have a Bugatti, but I would just spend it on dumb stuff.
I would definitely advertise for the podcast. Because like I said, I would, and I'd also do a lot of dumb shit because I want to be famous.
If you were given $200 million right now, would you still do this podcast?
Absolutely. Okay. It would just be in a building that I was paying rent at, and I would have like a sweet studio, and I'd probably be paying guests to come on.
That's true. Like that'd be your life would get a lot cooler.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know how long would I stay married?
I don't know. Would you?
I'm just asking you. We're starting to hang out more. I'm wondering how you feel about that.
So you're questioning whether I think your love for gin surpasses $200 million.
And then the people that post those stupid memes, would you slap your significant other for $2 million? Fuck yeah, I would. Are you kidding me?
I hit him with a bat. She'd probably be like, just don't do it that hard, okay?
Hit me in the legs.
Yeah.
Hit me in the getaway sticks.
I'd cut off a finger for $200 million. I really would.
You would cut off your own finger.
Sure.
Yourself.
Yes. For $200 million.
I wonder if I
would do it. And I mean, if we're talking about how I would cut it off, I would find the most fat, like a
chopping block.
I would get a small.
Which finger are you taking? You got to take the pinky. The pinky's worthless.
Yeah, but you look so weird without a pinky. Definitely not my thumb.
I knew a girl that had.
I got to continue to flip everyone off, so gotta have one of my ring fingers. I guess I could do it on the other hand and put, it's probably my ring finger.
Ring finger?
Yeah, but do I have to cut off the whole thing, or is it gonna be a nubbin?
You're definitely gonna have no nub.
No nub, just straight to the hand.
Straight to the hand. Yeah. It'd be hard to get in there too if you're trying to do it quickly, because
I guess you'd have to bend these back. I don't know.
That would be that. So that's another thing. Like that just says that leads to a really good question. Like, what's the worst thing that you would do for, let's just say, an arbitrary number of just $1 million?
I mean, we could go through a long list of things.
Well, I'm just thinking, what is something? Okay, then,
I would not
better question.
I would not kill anyone.
What wouldn't you do? So you already said you wouldn't kill somebody.
I wouldn't do any gay stuff.
Okay.
Because I don't know.
That one's always. I've always thought that question's interesting because people are like, would you blow somebody for $1 million or something like that? Like, that's something I think that you could accomplish, but if somebody was like, would you have sex with another man for $1 million? I don't think it would work. So I would lose at that challenge.
Yeah.
Because
my thing is I don't think the act itself is the part I'm having a problem with. I think it's it would haunt me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't I remember when I would was younger and I would just have a one night stand or whatever, and I would feel really gross and nasty the next day and feel like it would make me depressed. Because I thought I had a strong moral ground, and if I would just do that, I was like, man, that's not who I am, blah, blah, blah. So imagine that if I were to do something like that with a dude, sure. it would definitely haunt me for a while. So that's why
you would hold on to stuff, because you do hold on to stuff.
I do. Money is not really. I know I'm making it sound like I really care about money, but I really don't. Yeah. I mean, 200 million, but I also don't really give a shit about one of my fingers. I mean, I guess you don't know until it's gone, but I would a finger for that amount of money is not that big of a deal, but there's a lot of things that I wouldn't do for that money either.
Yeah.
Because if it breaks a moral, I'm not sitting here saying I'm a saint or by any means, but I have things that if I don't stick to them morally, it would really bother me.
I feel like I would be just I should really think about applying to Fear Factor, because I will do almost anything because it does, especially for a show like that, they're not going to put you in a position where you can actually die.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I remember Joe Rogan saying on his podcast multiple times, he's like, I don't know how they didn't die. I don't know how, because it was some crazy shit. And the reason why they tried to bring it back, not the new one but they tried to bring it back again with Joe Rogan, and they got canceled because they were drinking horse semen.
Blech.
Yeah, and they were just trying to take it too far. You know what I mean?
I feel like I could do that though if there was a price tag on it.
Nope, that goes along the same lines as
I've always said it, that when it comes to drinking,
I'm
anything,
grossed out by my own semen, let alone something else.
It depends on how viscous it is.
I don't even that word.
That word is gross.
Bothers me. Yeah, I'm not. No,
I think viscous is how watery it is. Is it thick or is it
Either way, I'm grossed out by my own, let alone any other animal / humans.
But I've said it before. I feel like I can I mix it with something? That's what that's my first mindset.
See, it's weird too, because I would totally eat animal dick, what I don't know, another animal's
cow penis.
Yeah, I would do that, but I wouldn't do the
semen.
Yeah,
it's just different.
And another thing I wouldn't do is I probably eat just about anything, animal wise or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't do spiders, dude.
What I really want to try is monkey brain. I want to try that.
I feel like that would just do something to you.
It'd make you stronger and smarter.
No, that's like saying you eat human brain and make.
Well, that's have you. There was there are tribes and stuff that think about if you eat your enemy,
yeah, they
you take their strength.
That's why they're fucking tribes and not driving around in cars. Because they think when you eat other people's brains, that works out for you.
I don't know.
That's called you get really sick from cannibalism.
Yeah, cannibalism doesn't make you sick.
I think it does.
No,
I'm pretty sure it does.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had some good human meat before. No, I haven't. No, so okay. So what I was getting at though with the drinking stuff, I feel
one St. Patrick's Day, we were drinking before going out, and there was a bee in our apartment, and I smacked it, but like I didn't kill it, and it was still like walking around on the table. And I looked at my buddy, and I was like, I'm gonna drink that. And I put it in my shot glass that was already poured, and just like drank it. Like,
did you not worry about the stinger?
Nope, didn't even think about it. No problem at all. But like, it was one of those things where like at that moment I was like, I could do Fear Factor.
Yeah, I ate an earthworm out of the ground.
Oh no, okay.
Yeah,
I said that I'm pretty strong, and I think that I can pretty much do anything. But man,
I didn't chew it.
Worms
I just
probably are
that motherfucker.
What's the texture? It's gross, isn't it?
Slimy, like loogie-esque. But
you swallowed it, didn't you?
Yeah, it
like,
didn't even really touch my tongue. It went straight to the back, and I just swallowed it.
He crawled down there,
and then he died a death in my acid.
Oh my God, PETA's gonna be all over this.
Someone from the Magic Squirrel Network said that eating other humans does make you sick.
No way. I think if you cook them right, I think if you cook them right, you're fine.
I think your bro science is just like, no way, no, it doesn't.
Well, I have told you guys, and I've said it on the podcast, that I think I'm just going to live forever, and I'm going to do whatever I want to do because of the same logic that is like the Looney Tunes logic, where walking off the mountain, he doesn't realize he's not off of the mountain until he looks down. So if I don't actually pay attention to anything,
that's also
it's not ever going to happen. I'm just going with that theory.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it's going to work out for me.
Tell me how that works out for you.
So, and then also, I've got a couple other things that I took notes on. You guys know that I'm really good at driving and texting, I guess.
Yeah, he sent me a text today bragging about how much notes he had. What was it, 2,400 words?
Yeah, I have 2,400 words in my notes.
That's insane. I can't even write a 500-word paper.
The one thing that I have, April Fool's Day is the same day as Easter.
It's also my mommy's birthday.
So my
can we sing my mom? Or we won't. Yeah, we're still gonna do it.
We'll do it on the next one, right? Because the next one will come out.
Should we just? I don't know.
No, it'll be actually. We'll be. Are you gonna be able to record on that Sunday? We may have to change the date.
Is my mom's birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to work and everything else.
Okay, so you're just gonna treat it like normal.
I'll just probably hang out with her on Monday.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I was just curious because it is on a Sunday, and I don't think we're doing anything for Easter. We're not a super religious family.
Yeah.
Did you grow up with like religion in your household? I know a lot of people avoid those conversations, but I don't care.
I don't care either. I was like. No, my dad, I never went to church with my dad ever. Yeah. I don't think that I can remember.
Did he go?
No.
Oh, okay.
And then my mom would take us on like special occasions, and then we would go through little phases where we tried to go to church. Honestly, the most church I ever went to was with other people's families.
Yeah.
And I would go hang out with them on a Saturday, and like, if you come over, we gotta go to church in the morning, so bring nice clothes. And that being said, I went to a lot of different kinds of churches.
Did you ever go to like a inner city church? Because I have been to one. It was shocking.
So you're basically saying a church that's in the city,
like in the not ghetto,
but like gospel-y.
Yeah,
type.
where like, and it was shocking to me as a child because like I'd only been to churches where everybody was kind of quiet and listened to the sermon.
Yeah,
and people are like yelling hallelujah and like praise the Lord and stuff like that. Yeah. And I was like,
well,
it scared me at first because I was like, what the hell?
I went to one time and they kind of briefed me before, and they're like, hey man, like you're gonna hear people like speaking in tongues.
No.
And I'm like, what?
That's insane.
And they're like, yeah, they just say like, it's the Lord, like you're talking to the Lord, but in like, in their own language. And you just, I was so freaked out, dude. I was just so like
hard on those people. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I really, the people that I went with, I really like respect them to this day. So it's hard for me to, that's just what they believe in. And they think that whatever comes to you is their way of speaking to the Lord or whatever. And that's not any crazier than a lot of other weird religions.
I guess that's not any crazier than my theory that I'm going to live forever.
The blood of Christ and eating a cracker and you're eating, that stuff's weird too, if you really think about it. But it was just strange because like she briefed me and then it started going down and I was just still not ready. Like they were like, blah, like just like putting their hands in there. And I was like, whoa.
That would definitely freak me out.
And I was like 14 or something like that.
I grew up as a kid that my
grandma and grandpa from a different family. It's a long story, but simply put, the dad that I grew up with that I called my dad wasn't actually my dad. He was just somebody that I knew as my dad. So I hung out with his family a lot. I was like every Sunday church, went all like every Sunday. And I learned a lot of like the Christian faith. I read the Bible a lot. I went to like church camps, like up until I was like 10 or 11. And then, I stopped kind of like seeing those people because that's kind of around the time that I realized that they weren't like my biological family. And I know this is like, I've gotten like kind of shit for this from like friends and family, like for just kind of cutting them completely out of my life because I was just like, they're not my biological family. I don't need to see these people anymore or talk to these people anymore. And I know that might be shitty because they did take care of me. They were my family for, 10 years, 11 years of my, formative years. But as soon as I was able to not go to church, I didn't go.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I don't have to do this on Sunday anymore.
I had a lot of good experiences with church. I feel like my buddy.
And I'm not saying that my experiences were negative.
No. Everybody has their. I mean, I had a lot of weird, bad experiences with church too. But like the one that I used to go with my buddy Jackson in high school, and his church did a lot of cool stuff. They had like a lock-in at the church.
Yep.
But you had to.
My first kiss was at a church camp.
You had to fast.
Oh, really?
So it was like a whole maybe a day or two, like basically that night, the whole next day. So
they locked you in the church and made you fast. That sounds kind of like torture.
But you played like Xbox and we played ping pong. We stayed up all night and like we're running around like a giant church just doing whatever we wanted. And there was like minimal supervision.
Oh, yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah. I participated in things like that. I think so,
And I remember it being like,
kid to like 10 or 11, I was always church on Sundays. And then when I got to a new school, it was all about the youth group thing.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people did that. Yeah. And a lot of good looking girls did that. So I was all in.
I think some of my most like wholesome, clean memories from like my childhood and high school and stuff were church events because like I remember them being fun, and it wasn't fun where I had to have like alcohol or like you're just doing something fun with people that you liked, and that was it. And it was like something like pure about that kind of. But also, what kind of pushed me away from religion as a whole is like when people try to shove it down your throat, and you're like,
well, we've talked about it before when the guy's up there singing and he's like, come on, get up and clap your hands and let's go. And
mine is more like afterwards I'll have people like come up to me and be like, hey, you're coming back, and like the Lord wants you. I'm like, just maybe not come on so strong in the beginning, let me kind of but it Nicole's family is Catholic, so I've been through her grandmother passed away.
Mass.
So I went to a Catholic funeral, and I've been to like my daughter's baptism, and that was all Catholic stuff. And all I got to say about that, everyone was fine. It's like beautiful church. It's just really long.
Yeah.
I mean, I
think that's everybody's comment on anything Catholic oriented.
I went to a Catholic wedding. It was really long, but I mean, I was technically baptized Catholic, so I guess.
Really? I was baptized. I was baptized at church camp, the same church camp that I had my first kiss at.
Yeah.
And I explicitly remember thinking, he's going to baptize me, and like one of two things is going to happen. The water's going to turn black, and they're going to realize that I'm a horrible human. That? Yeah. Or, the light's going to shine down on me, and it's going to be like, a glorious thing. It's not. You just get dunked underwater and you get pulled back up. It's just funny that like I have a very like big imagination when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, I definitely do too.
I was way worse as a kid. Like I think that you and I grew up very similarly, like with the like overthinking things.
Yeah.
But I think we just went different paths with it. Whereas I just push everything down and put it out of my mind.
Yeah.
And don't even think about it. Whereas I think that you hold on to stuff a little bit.
I think
more.
It's a sign of intelligence too, that like an overactive imagination and being able to like overthinking thing, I think is a sign of intelligence too. Yeah. It's like, I'm just like I like to cross my T's and dot my I's. I like to think of every possible outcome of any situation, and I almost get enjoyment out of doing that. I like going through and being like, this can have this, and then like we said before, when it does happen, I'm not surprised because I already acted it out in my imagination. So
one thing that I was actually also, I'm changing subjects left and right. I apologize.
Doesn't matter. Hey, I was going to say it's your podcast. It's our podcast. We can do that.
Yeah. I was listening to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History on the way home from St. Patrick's Day because we were up in Muncie. And it's called Painfotainment. Like, that's the title of the episode. It's like 4 hours long because he's a crazy genius that does these like research and like does a lot of like really interesting podcasts. But it's basically talking about public executions. And he was talking about how like, you know how I talked about us being super savage?
I do, yeah.
So it's insane to think that this used to happen so regularly that they have accounts of people like bungling it, like not doing it well. So like, for example, the executioner, one of the things he talked about was the executioner had 3 tries to cut somebody's head off with a sword because sometimes they wouldn't get all the way through on the first swing.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get all the way through on the 3 tries, you might get stoned by the audience.
Wow, that's strange.
Like you might get killed.
It's also fun to like.
And the reason I brought this up, I want it to make sense to the listeners and the people paying it, like watching. The reason I thought of this was the religion thing, because religion, like a lot of people were killed in the name of like, you know,
well, it's also
religion.
Funny to think about like 100, I don't know about 100 years, but at least 150 to 200 years ago, people were still being like executed. I know it's been sooner than that, executions, but like in a really like hangings and
well, that's another thing he was talking about
lynching
he was like the modern version of hanging, where like you drop them a distance to break their neck. He was like,
they didn't die.
He was like, they didn't do that in the beginning. He was like, in the beginning, it was maybe 6 inches, 7 inches of rope, and you were hanging there strangling to death. Like they were being inhumane about it.
What's the whole like stool thing?
Yeah,
it's 6 inches off the. Yeah, I think that's less than a foot off the ground, probably.
But they were like. They weren't doing like the trap door thing where you fall a good distance.
Yeah,
it was
they were
literally
just hanging
like
you there and letting you
strangle
slowly
to
die.
Death. And he was talking about how some of the executioners and family members would sometimes hang on their relatives' legs to speed up the process, so they would die faster and not struggle as much through the death.
It's insane because it did probably from one point go to completely strangling to like snapping your neck immediately.
Yeah, so that it would. And then another funny thing is I'm sorry that I'm getting like really into this, but he was so this goes back to my savagery idea and also making an example of people. So what they would like, what he was talking about specifically was in a certain area, they would, so like say he murdered somebody, they would kind of like almost like a parade, trot that guy to where it happened, maybe cut his hands off, but like sew them so that he doesn't die there because they're still taking him to the place for the execution. On top of that, they would stop at bars along the way, because they wanted the person to be able to drink so that the thing happening wasn't so like intense. Like, so they would get him sloshed.
So it was basically solely to make an example of him. And but they didn't think they deserved that. Like they gave him a little drunk. So. Yeah. Wow. And where was this at?
I'm trying to think. I can't remember specifically.
North America?
No, this was like Europe.
Okay.
But then on top of that, he said that they started to do away with the drinking thing because somebody swaying and you trying to hit them with a sword and cut their head off makes it a little bit harder to cut their head off if they're drunk and stumbling and you can't actually, like, they can't stand still.
Weird.
So then they were like, oh, we're going to stop having these people drink on their way here because it's making it harder for us to kill them.
Tie them down.
Right? Instead of just standing there.
Yeah.
But then, okay, last part of the Dan Carlin thing. He was also talking about how an executioner, the job was so like heinous that people wouldn't even touch you because they didn't want to be like infected with like your lower class. So a lot of the executioner families started intermarrying in their own like executioner like families, so that they became, like he said, dynasties of families that were executioners, but nobody else would ever even interact with them because they didn't want to be associated with somebody that killed somebody for a profession.
Yeah. It's crazy because I don't know why, but this makes me think of, you saw Thor, right?
Yeah.
Ragnarok, where she's like, every good leader needs an executioner, and she was trying to make that one guy the executioner.
Douchebag.
Yeah, but he redeemed himself at the end.
Yeah,
with his fucking M16s on him.
That was pretty sweet.
He carries them the whole movie. Every scene of the movie, he has them on his back.
I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy to think. Like, I wonder if what it would be like living during those times. Like how I would be able to. Would I be able to make it? Would I be one of the people that got killed? Would I just be one of the people in the crowd watching?
Yeah, everyone's dying of disease all the time. That's what like, remember when I told you when I was a kid, I was like afraid of everything. Yeah. Imagine being a kid then, you're like, I'm going to get the scarlet fever or whatever the fuck.
Leprosy. Your arms are just going to start falling off.
Or tuberculosis or polio or Jesus. Like, it's just.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what wiped out the Indians, right? Like, we brought the disease over. Like, one of the things that wiped them out.
The other thing that wiped him out was us.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Slaughtering them, I guess. But.
And like, I never realized to what extent that we actually slaughtered them.
Yeah.
Like, we killed hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Indians. That's kind of crazy to me.
It's insane.
And I didn't think it was that bad. And even when like civil rights laws and all that stuff started coming into play, we still treated them badly. Yeah. We would like, what do you call it when you make them go to like one area, segregate them to certain, like, you guys all have to go to Kansas where it's real shitty and no one likes like, we don't like this a part of North America, so you guys all there and have a settlement, and if we decide to move you, we will. Like, that's just like, we just treated them horribly, even when there was like laws in effect as human rights laws, I guess. But man, things didn't really change until like the amendments, like, 15, 16, 17, those amendments.
And I did post this online. I said, like, we need to stop hating on America just because it's trendy or, cool to do. But I still do feel that, things might be shitty for some people, but all in all, it's a pretty good place to live.
Yeah. It's just, I'm more talking about like what.
No, I know. I'm just bringing that up because I thought it was.
I agree.
I thought it was a good tie-in to that.
I mean, the whole fact that
because people want to fight about that and say like, this is so terrible. We do this, we do that. I don't know. I've never really traveled, so maybe I'm just ignorant. But I feel like we've got it pretty good here.
Something that bothers me is I'm in this history class and everyone is just so like. They bring up Donald Trump at every chance that they get. Turn. And it's like, like the other day he asked, does anyone know like why in today's society that, manufacturing, blah, blah. And he's like, is it Donald Trump's fault? Like, I mean, like why did
and it comes from the society that we've been building, which is, we want to give things to people and we want to help people, but then it ends up turning on ourselves. And I think that, people think that the president does a lot more for them in their personal life than he actually does. Because
it's also easy.
Really, the government doesn't do a whole lot in your personal life.
It's easy to just say, like, put blame on someone.
Yeah.
Oh, well, everything in America is not perfect, so it's Donald Trump's fault.
Yeah, and
that goes to people that don't understand how the government and politics work. And I'm not saying that I do but I know that everything that's wrong with our country is not that man's fault.
Yeah,
for sure. And the Democrats and all that stuff have been doing it wrong for how many terms or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like. It's not easy just to say, but it's just kind of like a cop out, like it's his fault.
Yeah,
and then. I get to a point where I'm like so tired of like, we get it. Y'all hate him. I don't like
exactly like we're just done talking about it.
I don't, particularly like love the man either, but it's like, let's get over it. He sucks. He's here. Let's just like move on.
Yeah.
And not just at every corner, like, Jesus, he's been the president for more than a year now, right?
I think it's going on a year.
Yeah. No, I think it's a little.
Is it over a year?
I think so.
I feel like it is.
It doesn't seem like it.
But we're both unintelligent people that don't probably follow politics a whole lot.
Speak for yourself. I'm not unintelligent, but I know what you're talking about. But it's just like, let's move on. Yeah. Like if you want to.
Well, and then that's the other issue that I feel like that we have grown like in America is we don't really. I mean, we have problems, but we don't have huge problems. So we make things that aren't a huge problem into a problem. So that we can, but we're doing a podcast where we talk about that stuff. So it's like,
freedom of speech.
We're kind of doing the same thing.
We're definitely like, first world country problems. Like it's easy for us to
like I complain because my heated seat is too hot on the high setting.
Well, only that. I mean, just saying, like, we complain about actual things that go on in politics and stuff, but to compare them to another country, but also in that frame of mind, like, this is our country, and I only want to talk about like what is going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but like the freedom is like, yeah, great. We have freedom of speech and yada yada yada, but I feel like it's starting to become a little bit less of the free country that we used to be.
Even the internet's being like
net neutrality.
YouTube, Facebook, and all of them are kind of like changing their model to where you can't do things organically; you have to pay for it.
Yeah,
and I understand because I understand everybody wants to make money. Like Mark Zuckerberg probably enjoys being the like fourth richest person in the world. Yeah. I mean, he probably that's probably a good life, but. They are making it difficult because, for example, I was telling BJ from the Smugcast, like, I am adding people on Facebook, just everybody that shows up in my suggested friends. I'm just clicking add until Facebook sends me an alert and says, you no longer have this function, because it says like it's realizing that I'm adding a bunch of people that I may not know. Mm-hmm. So then when it gives me that alert, I know I've gotten too many, and then I type out a message and I send a personal message to everybody and I say, hey, I'm a host of a podcast. This is the podcast page. Would you please go there, like it, subscribe to the podcast? I'd really appreciate it. And I literally send that to every single person that I add, and then I also at the very end I say, I did add you randomly. If you want to delete this connection, won't offend me. I appreciate it. Thank you. And then I send that to everybody. And it's actually helped the podcast.
I've noticed the likes, yeah.
But Facebook will also send me an alert and say, you are messaging too many people. We're going to cut you off for 24 to 48 hours.
And at one point that was an issue that they were having, and they had to sit down and have a meeting like, all right, guys, how are we going to take care of, this
people randomly adding people.
Yeah, without us making some kind of money off of it.
Yeah, because if I paid a certain amount for the advertising, the Facebook page would get advertised to more people. Basically, when we post something live or we post a photo or picture or whatever, it only goes to a select amount of people. If you pay, you can get it sent out to thousands of people.
Yeah.
But I don't want to spend more money on this podcast than I already have.
Yeah.
Without seeing some sort of return on it. And the return that I ask for is just listeners interacting with us, because that to me pays for itself. Like if you guys are interacting with the podcast, listening, posting stuff, making comments, that to me is the income from this.
Yeah.
Because I think it makes it fun. It makes it feel like people are paying attention. The greatest thing in the world was going to BJ's work and people saying, "Oh, you're Juice from Juice in the Morning or Juice in the AM." And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, it feels cool for people, strangers, to know who I am.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
I know that you get a kick out of that.
I do, a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, this
You went home and masturbated immediately.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. With funny. BJ's picture in my mind the entire time. But yeah, I mean, and by adding people, I met these guys that I want us to go do their podcast as well. I just subscribed to them. But I think you and I should go up there and do it. It's called the After Showcase podcast. They are a podcast based out of Anderson, and they run a comedy show. And after every comedy show, they do a podcast with the guests, like of the people that were doing the comedy.
That's cool.
So I think they would be really awesome to go up there and do their show, or have them down here and do our show.
Or both.
Yeah, and because I think that's the networking part. And, Jess and I talked about it after the podcast last week, where we're already with the Magic Squirrel Network. We love that. We love those guys. Those are great guys. But we also want to get some more like Indianapolis-based people, so that we can all work collaboratively together in that same vein of what you've talked about, which is like-minded people.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I feel like the people that listen to the podcast, like, on a regular basis, who listen to the whole thing, I think the majority of those people are from our little network.
Yeah.
and I get a kick out of listening to Pointless Discussions and Smugcast, and I genuinely like. I feel like we're all just kind of listening to each other's
Their
podcasts.
most recent episode, Pointless Discussions, with their guy that does his own podcast, made me lose my shit. Like I was laughing a lot. He had a really good voice for that character that he played.
See the dude with the beard,
yeah,
and the skulls, and all, I see him on there.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
the Diabolical Index.
I think
he does like books and things like that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's definitely
they did an episode that I thought was really awesome. I'm gonna go back and listen to it or watch it. They did like a choose your own adventure. So like, I remember reading books like that when I was a kid, and they did it, and he based it off of like comments on the videos of like which choice they were going to make to go certain ways.
Yeah.
And when I used to do choose your own adventure, I would look and see what the result was from one side, and I'd be like, all right, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to like go down that road.
Right.
I would do the other thing.
See, I'm excited for when we do get more comments and stuff, just because like. It's and like what we were talking about earlier, like people editing things that are fans and stuff like that, because it's really cool. Like on your mom's house, they do a lot of like listener based stuff, and people send them in stuff. And I can't wait to get to a point where people are sending us stuff in, and we can talk about it. And
it's something I've said on the podcast before. Is like I just want you guys to interact. Like I know that that seems like a commitment and it seems like a lot of work, but it's not a lot of work just to send us an email at juiceinthemorning@gmail.com.
Just send us anything and everything from whatever. I mean, we'll take whatever.
If you want to talk shit, I think that's funny.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent. I thought I wanted that, and then it happened, and I was like, I don't think I like that. But no, I think like send us anything that you think's funny or noteworthy or something that you want us to talk about, and we'll definitely.
It creates its own content, basically.
It's fun to like have interactive. Like I know they give you shit for saying this is an interactive podcast, but it is fun for people to interact and send us stuff that we can like talk about, make fun of, laugh about. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I mean, and if you want to send dick pics, you can send them to Shane at Shane_Jones.
Fuckyourself.com. And
no, definitely. I mean, you can email the podcast. I feel like I've only received maybe 2 emails since I started the podcast email, but it's, juiceinthemorning@gmail.com. Facebook is an easy way to get a hold of us. We are growing on Facebook too. It feels good. I mean, we're in like almost the 600 range of people that follow.
I'm just going to
I posted a ton of pictures for St. Patrick's Day.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Every time I see that we got new likes on the Juice, it's attractive women.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is.
It might just be that I'm adding a bunch of.
I think that's what it is, because I keep seeing. I'm like, God, what is happening? We're like, it was so like 6 likes, and it'll just be like.
Well, and then so I'm adding everybody in my suggested friends, and then anytime I see a guy with a microphone, I add them because I'm like, that guy does something. So let's get him on the show.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's not like we're gonna get like some active Nazi or something.
Oh man, that would be awesome.
No,
it would be great.
I'd be really.
We would just have to go with what we said we would do, and stick to our own thoughts and our own opinions, and just kind of like argue with somebody like that.
I guess it would be. I don't know. Sometimes
if you like had a white nationalist.
Yeah, but sometimes you get to the point where like whatever this person is talking about is just so radical that I just can't even fathom a conversation with them, and that's
kind of how I felt when I talked to the two chicks. No, the two chicks that were the sex workers, where they like do cam videos.
That's actually one of the very first podcasts of yours I listened to, that, and I enjoyed it.
It was crazy.
It's crazy, but those people are just they were still good people.
Yeah,
I'm talking about having someone on that is just a bad person, that his mind is so like corrupted and
Simpson.
Wrong. No, like a Nazi.
Yeah,
like someone, if we were to have like they're like.
But I feel like that would honestly be a interesting episode, though. Like I'd still want to talk to that person.
But I don't think I would do a lot of talking.
Yeah,
and then if I did, me, I would get worked up.
Yeah,
because they
would
say
like that.
They would say something, and I would be like, no, like that's not. Yeah. I would get real worked up. So,
and I don't think anybody that's willing to come on the podcast in that realm, they're not. I don't think they're going to come on just like spouting like white power right away. Like I think they're going to try to convince people that their way of thinking is good.
But even when you could most intelligent person, and if you're just sitting there to trying to tell me that this race is more
all powerful,
I would just be like, no. I don't even fathom how people like that think that.
Joe Rogan's had people on that he strongly disagrees with, that doesn't he?
Yeah, but then he ends up getting all hot and that's the thing about podcasts. I don't enjoy listening to people argue.
Really?
No. And he'll do that sometimes, and I think he has people on that he's a little bit biased about already, and then he'll just really like go hard at them and question them, and they seem like they're decent people.
Yeah.
But he's really trying to like debunk or like really give them a hard time about whatever they're saying, and I don't like that. Like
that's what he was doing kind of with Travis Barker, I think, from Blink-182. Was it Travis Barker or Tom DeLonge?
Yeah.
Where the guy was talking about like the aliens and stuff, but he was like saying he can't tell you about it. It's like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
And then it ends up being the other guy being it should never be the host. Like he's the host, and he's very like, and he comes off a little disrespectful. And then the guy he has on is the one being like, seems like he comes off the better way because he's being like intelligent. And he's like, I understand that you feel that way, Joe, or whatever. And then like I can't name the guy, but he was like a British guy, and he was talking about depression and all these statistics, and he's like, and then Joe's just kind of popping off on him, and I'm just like, I don't enjoy listening to you guys like argue.
I mean, people thought we were arguing when we were on the Smugcast, which we were kind of just like giving each other shit. But I think that it was when I listened to that episode, I laughed a lot.
Yeah,
and I thought it was funny.
Quotes from that,
and I think it's funny. Like when people make fun of me, I don't take it to heart because I feel like I live a pretty good life. I'm a pretty attractive man. I enjoy. Oh
God,
I enjoy how things are going for me. So if people make fun of me, cool. That's like
you're comfortable. All you have to say is you're comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
And, I think
I like going a little further and letting everybody know that
pretty you are. But we both, I feel like, are like that.
Yeah.
And the thing about the Smugcast guys, when I get around them, I feel this urge to like give everybody shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is.
Well, and it comes from them telling me that they wanted me to give more shit to each other, to them even, because they say they want to say that I'm like one of the nicest people. But that's because, like, when I don't know somebody, I don't feel comfortable, like, calling them out or making fun of them on something. I want them to like me because I want this to continue as, like, a friendship.
Right.
And, it's, like, I'll give, some of my best friends, like, I'll give you shit.
Yeah.
But it's because I feel comfortable doing that.
And I also don't mind you giving me shit. And like I also felt like when we did, like when I hang out with the Smugcast guys and you, and it's just like there was like 6 dudes in that room.
Yeah.
So I was in like almost in defense mode.
Yeah.
I was like in like, if I don't.
On the iPad, I forgot to plug it in. Is it going good? I'm sure it's going good.
I don't know what's happening. Oh, there we go. It was doing something weird for a second.
Oh, okay,
we're all right.
But yeah, all right. Anyways, but yeah,
I don't hear anything.
I feel like it's going. No, we're good. Okay. I don't know. I might be hearing phantom things.
You hear that?
The best fake fart ever.
Yeah, my brother taught me that.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. But no, also I can't wait for spring and summer.
Oh my god. You just wanted a reason to do that.
Yep. And it's tank top weather.
You got the other one then? I'm like, I hate Mondays.
That's my favorite one.
How about tomorrow's Monday?
Yep. But hopefully people are listening to this and laughing on their commute to work. Daniel did call me, so I'll call him back at the end of this. He actually listens, I feel like. Maybe not all the time. But also
not listening right now, or he would know not to call.
Exactly. But also, if people want to be on the podcast, I'm okay with just anybody wanting to do it.
Yeah.
I like to do these where it's just us. For some reason, those get downloaded more than any other episode. So maybe we need to just stop having people on. I'm okay with that, I guess. But
yeah, I like having guests.
I do too, because I like to hear their perspective on things.
Even the last one with
the parenting
mom,
one I thought was awesome.
That was so fun. Like I really enjoyed doing that and getting like an outside perspective of other people that have, families.
Yeah, and I can't imagine being a parent. I'm eventually going to be a parent, but I just can't imagine it.
What I was like super scared when I found out I was going to be a dad.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I don't know anything about being a dad. It just literally all comes to you.
Yeah.
It just like you just figure it out.
You just become a papa.
Yeah. You become like a ninja.
Yeah.
In the sense that like,
have you seen the saves, the dad saves?
Well, I was going to say you anytime you see falling, you like automatically stick out a limb or like I've caught my daughter from hitting her head on the coffee table more than 10 times.
Millions of times.
Not millions, but I've.
Oh, you don't know.
I do know. Why would I not know? But yeah, I've caught her from just getting hurt a lot because I'm so. You kind of get a feel for what they're about to do, and then even if you see falling out of the corner of your eye, you're like dash over there or whatever. So
that's so. I mean, that's insane. It's like the soccer mom save where they put the arm out when you're like in the car. Like, what does that do?
My dad used to do that to
me. What does that do? You have a seatbelt on.
I liked it because it was like my dad loves me.
Most of the time, my mom would just unhook the seatbelt. Like instead of putting the arm out, I'm just kidding. Like she's expecting me to go flying.
My mom used to just be like, "Don't put your seatbelt on." Then she would brake really hard. I'm just kidding.
I do that to my dog still because he's not belted in.
You're like, sit down, and he won't sit down, so you're just like, break.
Yep. And he goes, he falls into the foot area of the car. It's pretty funny.
I told you to sit down.
But yeah, I mean, the podcast, I want you guys to interact with it.
Stop saying
I want
that.
I want to build the show. I want to build the Facebook. Share it with people.
If you guys don't know to interact with this fucking podcast by now,
do it and share it with other people because
Jesus.
What is it? The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I don't know what that is, but I've heard you say it.
It's basically like I think I don't know the actual theory, but I
like Kevin Bacon.
It's kind of one of those things where like you can find a connection to him with yourself personally.
For whatever reason,
connections.
This is kind of sound kind of gay, but I think every time I think of Kevin Bacon, I think of his penis. And I'll tell you why. Because in Wild Things, you don't see a lot of dicks in movies.
That's true.
So when you
Full frontal dick.
So when you do, it like
there's some side dick
really resonates in my brain. I can think of the actual scene. And it's not because, anything weird, but it's just like I wasn't ready for it. Yeah. But the movie Wild Things, it's a really, really like Sigourney Weaver. No, that's not right.
I have no idea.
I don't know. You should see it. It's a really good movie. Yeah. It's got some really good-looking women in it and some sex scenes. But Kevin Gates.
Kevin
Bacon got a little thing.
Got his little thing.
Yeah, and it just like really
best
stir of echoes too.
Best full frontal nudity of all time was forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That is funny, and for whatever I don't mind that. That doesn't gross me out because it's just funny.
What does he say? He's got something like a snack for yours. I don't know. He's like, or I got a surprise for you.
I got a surprise for you, or whatever. Yeah,
and he's like wiggling back and forth.
And then she breaks up with him as he's naked.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking awesome.
That's such a funny movie.
It is. What's your go-to show that you're watching right now?
I don't know.
You don't have one?
I think I do, but I just can't think of what.
We're balls deep in Friends right now.
Yeah, you are. I came over the other night.
We just saw the episode that you've talked about on the podcast.
Thank you. Fucking finally.
Chandler being in the box.
Isn't it funny as shit?
It's so good because he's talking and making jokes, and then Joey's like, "Doesn't seem like you're getting a lot of thinking done in there when you're making jokes."
Yeah. The one the other night with the jam was funny too. That was cracking me up. But the show that I've been watching is on Netflix, and I think it's just called Flint.
Yeah, and
it's about the water crisis / police.
They still have bad water.
Yes,
there. It's insane,
and it's about the police, like the Flint Police Department, and like basically how bad the crime is there, and then to add to it like the water problem, and then it was like around the time. Donald Trump got elected and up leading up to that, and they just show how like the crime rate there was like crazy, and they show a lot of graphic, like show a couple dead bodies, and it's just real. Like I like morbid stuff like that,
It's gritty,
and police work, and just like they're like we're out there just cleaning up the street. I don't know, it's just good. And then all along with it, they show like somebody's running their faucet, and there's like brown water coming out of it. And
I just can't believe it's still going on.
It's so good. So if you guys want to check out a really good, like I guess you'd call it like a docu-series, but it's just called Flint, and it's on Netflix, and it's really, really good.
There's an original, like a Netflix original that I'm pretty pumped about, but I like have to be in the right mindset to watch it. It's got Jared Leto, and he's getting into the Yakuza. Like he's like trying to join the like
Damn, that sounds awesome.
the like Japanese mafia, because I think he's like in love with a girl that like
What's it called?
I can't remember what it's called, but
he looks like he would be.
You'll find it on there. It's like one of the most popular like shows or movies or whatever.
Besides the fact that he's not Japanese, he looks like he somehow would be in the Yakuza.
Well, he's like an outsider, and I think he falls in love with like a daughter of a Yakuza boss, and like he has to get into the game to be able to like I guess date this chick or whatever.
You know how people think the mob is really cool? Like a lot of
the Yakuza is awesome.
The Yakuza is way cooler to me because they like. It seems like there's a lot more like pride involved,
almost like samurai,
and the cool tattoos, and they actually have like swords and shit. That's cool as fuck.
And did you? I think we talked about this on the podcast, but did you see the guy or hear about the guy that got arrested? That was like an 80-year-old Yakuza boss, and he was in a park playing chess with like another old man. And a kid took a picture of him, like for social media, like because he thought his tattoos were really cool. The Japanese police or whatever, the Chinese, I don't know. I'm terrible with this stuff. I don't know if it's Japanese or Chinese. The Yakuza, like
Japanese,
Japanese. Yes. Okay, for sure.
Yes.
Okay, cool. But the Japanese police like found him.
No, I'm getting a phone call. It's Nicole.
But they found. You can answer it if you want and have her on the podcast.
Hello? Hi. Hey, I'm doing the podcast right now. What's up?
Am I like interrupting it?
You're on the podcast.
Yeah, you're on the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Can you say hi to everyone?
Hey everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm eating my salad. I'll let you go.
No, that's okay. I wanted to answer, one, because I thought it was funny for you to be on the podcast, and two, to make sure everything's okay.
All is good.
All is well.
He's so sweet.
Yes.
Do you want me to call you back?
Yeah, call me back because I want to talk to you about our schedule and all that jazz.
Sounds good. I love you.
Love you too, babe.
Bye.
Aww.
Bye.
But yeah, so they found him. They found him based off the tattoos, like from social media, because the post went viral.
So what did he do? Oh, he was
a Yakuza boss, and they were trying to arrest him, and he was like in a different like state or country or wherever. He was like far away, because he had like retired or whatever, and was playing chess like as an 80-year-old dude, and he had these like sweet tattoos, and a kid took a picture.
I thought you were gonna say that like,
and then he got arrested, and he's in jail now.
I thought you were gonna say that like he was pissed that the kid took a picture and he like killed him or something.
No, that would have been cool.
He just pulled out a sword and sliced him in half.
No, he was over that. He was over that life. He was just wanting to play some chess.
He just wanted to like
with Charles Xavier.
Yeah, him and Charlie X, or just him and Magneto, Eric. I always hated that his name was Eric.
Yeah, it was it.
He doesn't. The old man didn't look like an Eric.
Last thing before I wrap this,
you didn't agree with me.
Before we wrap up this podcast, though, the trailer for Avengers came out, the second trailer, and it gave me goosebumps watching it.
Yeah. Did you see the part where
Captain America is going to die?
You see the part where Captain America was like holding on to Thanos' hand?
Yeah. Captain America is going to die. Because that's probably, I guarantee you, that's the scene he gets killed in. Because I saw another trailer where it's literally the same surroundings.
Yeah.
And Bucky's coming running in with his Russian rifle, and he's like looks really mad. I think that is really that's after Captain is killed by.
So here's the question: do you think?
And he's my favorite character, and I'm going to be so sad.
Do you think Bucky or
the Falcon?
The Falcon is going to be the new.
I would say.
Also, I have what we talked about this as well is that Hawkeye is going to turn into whatever that ninja guy I told you about before. And you remember that?
I do, but I don't see how they could do that with the MCU, like the movies, because they're like talking about how he's trying to like stay with his family and not be a part of.
Yeah, but
what's going on.
He's in this one, right?
I'm assuming he is.
Well, he is, and they put him on the front of the thing, and he's got like a faux hawk now.
Oh, really?
And it shows like a picture of the comic book guy when he turns, and his boots are like a certain way, and then it shows him wearing similar boots in the thing. So
maybe they kill his family, which would be really sad.
Yeah, I think it's Ronin, or isn't it Ronin?
It is Ronin. I think you're right,
or something like that. But anyways,
we're gonna get shit for that from the fans that are comic book fans.
I don't know
if we're wrong.
So,
if we're right,
awesome. So who do you think is going to be the new Captain America?
See, so I've got two answers for this. So Bucky would make more sense because in the comics he's the one who does take up the mantle of Captain America first. I think.
Yeah.
But I think Falcon at some point is also Captain America, but like called something else.
I just don't I think they call him Captain America.
Yeah, but I think that
I don't see either of them as Captain America. It's so hard to. Like, why would you kill off Chris Evans or whatever? He's like the best.
Well, for one, his contract is up.
Yeah.
For two, it makes a lot of sense to kill him because of the implications from Civil War. Like to kill him off would like unite everybody.
Yeah.
Would unite everybody if he was dead.
That's true.
And
he's real gothic in this one. He's got the long hair and the beard.
Dude, he looks like such a badass. He's my favorite character of all of the Marvel movies.
Yes.
Captain America is my favorite.
I'm gonna have to agree with you.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't.
A lot of people like Tony Stark, like Iron Man. I'm not a huge fan of Iron Man.
Same way.
People like Thor. I'm not a huge fan of Thor.
They're all really cool.
Yeah,
I just think
he's funny. I love Ant-Man. Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is hilarious.
Paul Rudd could be any of those characters, and he would kill it. It'd be funny. He could be fucking Spider-Man if he wanted to, and he would kill it.
But I just watched Civil War again like the other day because we were just trying to find something on Netflix, and that movie to this day still Paul Rudd's scenes in that just make me laugh my ass off.
Some things, I agree. I don't see Bucky. He'd have to get a haircut.
Yep.
And he's not like as big and buff as Chris Evans. He's kind of like a smaller dude, so I don't see him. And then
just in the comics, though, Bucky was the one I think who took it up first.
He was. Yeah, I think he was too.
But I don't know a whole lot about.
So I don't know how that's gonna play out.
It's gonna be such a good movie though, and I'm interested to see like the next phase, how things turn out, because right now I feel like they can do no wrong. Like I feel like every Marvel movie I've seen has been good.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for there to be a stinker because it's going to happen eventually. They can't continue to just make everything really good.
That's true. Man, they killed it. They killed it with Black Panther. I know you saw it. I have not seen
Black
it yet.
Panther was good.
But it's just like the reviews and everything that it's getting, it's just like it's the best.
And I know that it was. See, I'm trying to think of how to say this. I knew it was going to have like that like African American pride type thing behind it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that the like main bad guy was going to be so like anti the other races. Basically, like he was very anti like his
name is Killmonger.
I know. But I just didn't expect
so
it,
he
to
thought
be honest.
that so
like he was talking about how like
like a pure race, and Wakanda is the only.
Yes, okay. And like we need to help our brothers out there in like the other parts of the world. And I was just surprised. It was kind of one of those things that like it kind of like made me perk up, I guess, is what I'm saying when I was watching the movie. I was just kind of like, whoa, okay. But then it was like still a great movie, awesome cast. All of the people are great. Marvel did a great job again of having a bad guy, but you kind of like feel for the bad guy. You're like, man, he's not really that bad. He just kind of went down the wrong path.
Yeah, he seemed like a really cool. I wish they wouldn't have made his. I mean, I know in the beginning it's not, but they make his suit almost so similar to. He probably steals it, doesn't he?
I'm not gonna ruin it.
But he's a Jaguar, right?
Well, no, they're the same. It's Black Panther because.
Yeah, but his is
so
gold,
basically
though.
Okay. So I'm not ruining anything because you've already seen it. Like you've already seen those previews. Basically, he.
Also, don't care. I'm not one of those people.
He takes over as the leader of Wakanda. Basically, I'm not going to tell you how it happens, but he becomes like king.
Okay.
And so, anytime that you're king, you're also you carry the mantle of the Black Panther.
Yeah.
So he basically is just the Black Panther, and the Black Panther's coming to try to take his title back, basically.
The real Black Panther.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why he has that. He has the suit.
Oh, but I swear he's not. I don't know. Why is it? I don't know.
It's just it's a different color because it's a different version of the suit. Okay. One of the Black Panther's sisters is like a science. Like it felt a lot like a James Bond movie. At first,
cool.
Like for the first half,
yeah,
felt like a James Bond movie because you had the sister that's like the scientist hooking him up with gear, and like you have him going on like a mission where he's like undercover. Yeah. It's like
I think this is way out of left field, but I think it'd be really cool if the new James Bond was Idris Elba.
I agree. I think he would be awesome.
Yes,
and I also agree. I like the theory that Bond is basically like a code name, like it could be anybody.
Yeah.
Because somebody like posted like a thread on like Reddit or something or whatever and was talking about Bond being like,
how do you feel?
Can be anybody.
Have you heard the theory? We may have talked about this before. The theory that Breaking Bad.
Yep, Walking Dead.
I've
heard it. We've never talked about it, but I've heard it.
Because they've actually like talked about. They've made references to The Walking Dead and they're both AMC.
One of the creators also is like a huge fan of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, maybe he just made some references or whatever, but he's like some kind of drug epidemic or something like that.
He puts things in the previous seasons. I don't know if he still is the showrunner or whatever, but he intentionally put things in there that were, homages to Breaking Bad,
which is cool to me.
It is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that we're kind of reaching our limit.
Sure.
And I want everybody to share this with one other person. I'm giving you an assignment, homework again.
Yeah.
We want you to share it with one. I wish I was I was not quick enough because I was going to do this.
Oh, so
loud. But anyway, share it with one person. You can email us at juiceinthemorning@gmail.com. Facebook, just search Juice in the Morning. It's growing. Join the community. It's fun. I posted a lot of memes and pictures this weekend because of St. Patrick's Day.
They were good. You got a lot of good responses.
Yeah.
From those, I think.
And then at Juice in the AM on Twitter and Instagram. And, Shane, do you have anything that you would like to advertise for?
Nope. Sure don't.
All right. So what do we tell people when we're leaving?
I usually tell them that I hope that they enjoyed the podcast and hopefully the juice was worth the squeezins.
The squeezins. Boom. Well, this takes forever to start.